All right, I believe we are live now. Hi, I'm Jean Zay, and I'm here with Justin Ryan and Jackie Gilmartin, and we're going to show you a great way to give students quality feedback using Kaizena. I'm going to start out by showing you what Kaizena voice feedback looks like, and then Justin's going to show some added Kaizena features, such as adding resources and tags, and then Jackie's going to show you how a student can request feedback. So to do that, I'm going to start out by sharing my screen with you. So let me just get that sharing. And I want to let you know that I was first interested in Kaizena because of the voice feedback. Let me just share this. And Jackie and Justin, can you now see my screen?
Yes, I can.
All right, good. So here we go. I'm going to get started. This is a Google Doc, and this has some Kaizena feedback in it. And you can see at the top, it gives you some directions of how to get started with the Kaizena feedback. I'll get to that in a minute. I just want to show you right away that you could have some voice feedback, which is hooked up to this highlighted area down here. And I just click on the play, and you can hear me leave a voice comment.
What first excited me about Kaizena was that you could leave a voice comment just like this one.
So that's just a simple example of a voice comment. And so I want to show you how you get started, because here on this account I've already set up Kaizena. So I want to show you how to get started. There are several ways you can get started with Kaizena. You could go to the website kaizena.com. You could go to the Chrome Web Store, but you can also do this right inside Google Docs. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go here to add-ons. And this is a document that a student created and shared with me. So in add-ons, I'm going to go to Get Add-ons. And then I am going to search for Kaizena. Now, Kaizena is spelled Kaizena. And it actually comes from a Japanese word, which means a change for the better, Kaizen. And notice what comes up is Kaizena Mini, and I'm going to click on Free. And now they want to know who you are on Google. There are a whole bunch of things that you have to accept. I'm going to accept that. And a box will pop up that will tell me how to continue. That's right up here. So it tells me I have to go up here to add-ons. I have to go to Kaizena Mini and open Kaizena Mini. And you'll notice over on the right-hand side of the screen, well, it's supposed to be popping up over here. Maybe I didn't actually select it. Oh, there it is. All right. You'll notice that it says for this document, I'm giving feedback or I'm receiving feedback. Now, as a teacher, I'm going to be giving feedback. As a student, I'll probably be receiving feedback, or if you're doing student to student, you could be giving feedback. So it says who's receiving the feedback, and this email address will actually get an email saying that I gave some feedback. In our case, we don't have our students set up with email addresses, so they won't be receiving the email. All right, so you notice it says here, it's added on that top part, the header, and I can start giving some feedback. So say I want a little more information. It says Jane Sousa is a second grade student at John Philip Sousa Elementary School. She lives in Port Washington, and this is about the author, and I want a little bit more. So I'll highlight an area, and I'll click on New Feedback. And then notice here, it says she lives in Port Washington. That's the area highlighted. I could change the color of it to pink highlight or blue highlight, and then I can click on the little microphone and I can start adding my feedback. I can start recording. Jane, this is a really good start. Why don't you add a little more information about what you like? For example, Jane enjoys writing stories, and building with Legos or something like that. So tell us more about yourself. I'll press stop. Notice it's processing. And then Jane will be able to hear the feedback. Jane, this is a really good start. Why don't you add a little more information about what you like? For example, Jane enjoys writing stories and building with Legos or something like that. So tell us more about yourself. Okay. All right. So when Jane goes into this document, she needs to actually make sure she has Kaizena Mini installed. She would do it the exact same way that I did. And then she would be able to listen to the feedback, and she can also reply to the feedback with her own voice comment. So I have shown you a brief introduction about Kaizena using Kaizena Mini, the Kaizena Mini add-on. And this actually automatically sets up an account for you on Kaizena.com, which is another way to get started. And Justin will now show you some added features accessing Kaizena. I believe you're going through Kaizena.com.
Yes, I am.
All right, Justin.
All right, thanks, Gene. Hello, everyone. I'm going to show you a couple cool features of Kaizena, and what I'm first going to do is go to their website. So let me share my screen with you. And share. Okay. This is the Kaizena home, and you're going to see that your name is there. It's going to tell you where you teach, and it's going to have a couple of things on the top bar. One of the cool features of Kaizena is that you can add a resource. So if you want your students to watch a video, audio clip, go to a website, anything like that, you can add resources to your account so that you can use them for all your students. So now that I'm at the Kaizena website, I'm going to click on resources. And then it's going to bring me to this page. You will see that it says, I have no saved resources. So in order to change that, I simply click add a resource. It's going to bring me to a page where you're going to name your resource, and you're going to also include an URL. Now, one of the problems a lot of my students have is capitalization. They won't capitalize proper nouns. They won't capitalize the first letter of each sentence. So it's something that I know I can work on with them. So I'm going to name my resource proper nouns so that I know I can use it in the future for proper noun help. I happened to look on brainpopjunior.com, and I found a video about nouns. So I can simply copy and paste the URL, hit add, and now I have a resource called proper nouns, and I know it's going to take me to BrainPop Junior if I should happen to use it. Now that I have my resource in place, I can create feedback on a document and show you my next feature, which is called tagging. So to tag, you have to actually open up a document on Kaizena.com. So I go back to my home page, and somebody is going to request feedback. So I'm going to click request feedback. Now it's going to go into my Google Drive, and I'm going to choose a California report that one of my students made. Highlight it, select. It's going to tell you it's successfully done. You hit close, and now this is the paragraph that my student wrote about California. Now the tagging allows you to create a tag for feedback which you feel you may use later. So I'm going to show you how to use the tagging feature now. Now this whole entire paragraph has no capitals in it. So he needs to know that, proper nouns always have to be capitalized. So to create a tag, what I'm first going to do is I'm going to highlight the entire thing, because the entire thing needs to be looked at. Now that I highlighted it, it asks me to create a tag name. Now this is mostly about proper nouns, but I'm just going to call it caps because I know that means capitalization, and it makes my life easier in the future. Hit enter, and then that's the tag. Now it has a rating system, and this student obviously did not do very well with caps, so I'm going to rate it kind of low and move on. Now if you look over on the left hand side, this is where you can create your feedback. So I highlighted the text, and now I'm going to create the feedback that's going to go along with this tag. So to leave your voice comment, you click record, and I'm going to tell the student, I see you are having trouble recognizing which letters to capitalize. Please watch this Brain Pop Junior video to remind you about the rules on proper nouns. Stop. Now make sure you like what you hear. I see you are having trouble recognizing which letters to capitalize. Please watch this Brain Pop Junior video to remind you about the rules on proper nouns. So now this feedback, I can save it as a tag called caps. Now to make this feedback even better, I showed you before that you added a resource to your resource bank. I can add a resource now to this tag so that when I want to use it for another student, the resource will be there as well. So I simply click on this little, it looks like a link, that's your resources button, and then I have to put in the resource name, and I named it proper nouns before. So I'm going to click on P, my proper noun drops down, I'm going to attach my resource, and now my student's going to have my voice feedback, and it's going to have the resource for the tag caps. I simply hit next. And now I'm going to show you how to use this resource within a Google Doc itself. So let me go into, close it, done here. I have this Google Doc, and the student did a report on New York. And as you can see, I need to teach proper nouns a little bit more. So this student, I'm going to go to the add-ons, like we saw before. I'm going to open up the Kaizena Mini. Now instead of me having to go through everything I just went through before, I can simply use my tags to give them feedback. So I'm going to highlight again everything that the student wrote because they need to look at all of their proper nouns. You highlight, I'm going to add new feedback, and as you can see, you have this tag line up here. So now instead of me having to go through everything and re-recording, reattaching the resource, I can simply type in caps, and it's going to come from my drop-down. I click on it, there's your rating. Now it has the tag in it, and the comments are already there for the student to look at. And this will make your life a lot easier and a lot less work in the future. So that is the two resources I wanted to share. And I'm going to hand it over to Jackie.
Great, thanks, Justin. Tonight I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how a student can request feedback from a teacher once they've been working on a document and are ready to receive some feedback. And there's a few different ways that we can do this, but today I'm going to focus on having the student be able to actually upload their document to the teacher's Kaizena profile page. So I'm going to go ahead and share my desktop with you. There we go. All right. So now I have a student who is working on a document called Polar Bears. And now once I finish this document, or maybe I'm not quite finished with it, but I want my teacher to take a look at it and give me some feedback. So when Justin showed you earlier, the teacher creates a profile page on the Kaizena website. And on that page, it allows for a teacher to actually have a URL that students will visit where they can request the feedback. So rather than having my students visit the Kaizena website and have to search for me, I simply copied that link and I created a doc that I shared with them called Requesting Feedback Link from Mrs. Gilmartin. So anytime they want to request feedback from me, they would open up this doc and simply click on the link. And it's going to now bring me to my teacher's profile page. Down at the bottom, you'll see that I've actually created a box for bears. And I can, as a teacher, create many different boxes for different projects. So students can actually put the correct documents into the correct box so that I will be able to easily go through and navigate which ones I need to go ahead and give my feedback on. So as a student, I've now come to my teacher's profile page. I'm going to find the correct box that I want to upload my document into, and I'm going to click on Request Feedback. It's going to open up my drive, and now all I have to do is search for the document that I want to be reviewed. So there's my polar bears, and I'm going to click Select. It's loading it, and it says this document was successfully submitted, and close this dialog to view the document. And now I can click Close. For right now, I'm going to actually close out of this because I've submitted it, and now I'm going to wait for my teacher to give me feedback. So it's really simple for students to request feedback from their teachers by simply using a shared document that their teacher created with that link to their profile page. Now, another way for students to be able to use the Kaizena add-on tool in Docs is to actually use it for doing peer-to-peer reviews. So if I have a student in my class, a friend of mine, who's now requesting me to look at their work so that I can give them some feedback, I can do that as well. And I'm going to look at my incoming, and I'm going to look for a file called Brown Bears that my friend shared with me. So I'm going to open that up. And now you'll see that here's my document all about brown bears. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to add-ons, just like Jean showed you earlier, and I'm going to open that Kaizena Mini. And now here we go. It's going to open up on the right-hand side. And now I'm a student. And now instead of receiving feedback, I'm actually going to click on I'm giving feedback, and then I can go ahead and say who's going to give it, who's going to be receiving my feedback. So I'm going to click on the student's name and click Continue. And now we'll be able to do exactly as Jean showed you earlier. I could go ahead and I can highlight. I can click New Feedback, and then I can go ahead and I can record. So this is exactly the same way a teacher would do it, but this is just another way for students to be able to do peer reviews using the Kaizena Mini add-on.
Jackie, can I just add in one thing?
Sure.
The names that popped up under the Kaizena Mini,
Yes.
that's because that's who the document was shared with. So
Correct.
if the document was shared with more people, you could actually request feedback from even more, right?
That is correct. Everyone who has that document shared with them would pop up. So it's a great tool. It's a really great tool to do peer collaboration in the classroom.
I could even see it being used for explaining your math thinking. So a group could talk about how they got started, and they could, each of them put in a voice comment about how they got started with their math and came to their solution.
Absolutely. I think that students could use this in a variety of ways, especially sharing feedback with their teacher on different projects that they're working on, math homework, social studies, any type of homework that they're doing, or classwork, or if they have questions regarding the work that they're doing, they could request feedback from the teacher. And I think that it is almost a little more personalized way when you're actually hearing someone's voice feedback rather than just written text.
Definitely. And I read on the Kaizena blog an explanation saying high quality feedback means students are not only getting feedback, but also timely feedback, personalized feedback, peer feedback, actionable feedback, and continuous feedback. So it really is a great way to have students think deeply about the whole process.
Right, and I think one of the big pieces, and we didn't really go into too much, but that the fact that you can actually reply to feedback with another voice recording within the Kaizena Mini is a great feature, because you can actually have sort of a conversation even though you may not be online at the same time, but within the document, so you can see how your work is progressing, whether you're speaking and feedbacking with other peers or between you and your teacher.
I also think for elementary students, the Kaizena voice feedback just students being able to use their voice instead of writing things might allow them to say even more than they would if they had to type it in or handwrite it.
Just saying it is so much easier than actually writing it. And when the students have to answer a question in math and they have to explain it, it is so hard for them to write it. And so this gives them the opportunity to actually just say it.
Well, I think we just touched on the surface of how you could use Kaizena, especially with elementary students. Does anybody have anything else to share?
No, I think that we summed it all up.
All right, so I hope anyone watching this video will give it a try. Kaizena, Kaizena, and hope you enjoyed watching our Google Hangout. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thanks.